iDubbbz is a figure who at this point is regarded very differently depending on who you ask. Some may call him a living legend, others may call him a simp, and many may just have a middling impression. But in 2016, Ian was almost universally known as a force of nature who could destroy any channel in just one video with clever arguments and high quality growths. This, of course, was because of his Content Cop series. But many forget that the true origins to Ian's reputation as a YouTube powerhouse was actually a previous series known as Kickstarter Crap, whose popularity was so great that it was once the main focus of the iDubbbz's TV channel, and the only series to surpass it since was Content Cop itself. In Kickstarter Crap, he talked about fundraisers that were bad for a variety of reasons, whether it be because they were trying to fund hilariously bad products or were blatant attempts to beg for money.
Some people have dreams of becoming a successful entrepreneur. Others have dreams of becoming an astronaut on their way to Mars. This guy's dream is owning an Apple Watch by e-begging on the toilet.
These episodes would occasionally tease out responses from the project creators and lead to a back and forth between them and Ian through response videos. I would argue that the popularity of these helped plant the seed in Ian's mind that would eventually give us Content Cop. And once released, it became YouTube's most popular show, but has seemingly been cancelled after its last installment in late 2017. There is a lot of speculation as to why, since Ian never gave a solid reason, but in the half-decade since then, the iDubbbz's TV channel has continued to perform well. Ian kept up his secondary series like Bad Unboxing for several years, and even rebooted an old abandoned series called iDubbbz Complains, and these two made up the majority of his content going forward. He also made the leap to creating long-form documentary videos on a variety of subjects, such as Airsoft Fatty and Sam Hyde. But while Ian himself has continued to succeed, many of those who were once the focus of his content have gone in far more interesting directions after their 15 minutes of iDubbbz's fame. And that's what we'll be discussing today, similar to my Leafy Victims video you may remember. Now, if you're looking to hear me give a detailed breakdown of where each Content Cop subject is today, I hate to disappoint you, but I already wrote a video doing just that for Turkey Tom's channel, that I'll link below. But finish up this video first, because I do have something else planned.
Some of you might be pleasantly surprised with who this video is actually about.
Instead, I think it'd be interesting to go back even further and examine where many of the unsung Kickstarter Crap victims ended up. Because some of them have taken paths so odd that it must be seen to be believed, especially the more infamous names to come out of the series like Dayron Arias, Lucic Diamond Eyes, and many more. But before we get to all that, I think it's important to point out just how many people Ian discussed over the show's 3-year run. Kickstarter Crap ended in late 2016 at a similar time as Content Cop, and at the time there were 102 episodes, along with 7 Indiegogo excrement videos from a sister series focusing on a different fundraising platform, as well as episode 1 of his eBeggar series that focuses on projects from both platforms and never got a follow-up. I watched all of them.
Have you ever binge-watched Kickstarter Crap? No? It'll change your life.
I did a deep dive and looked into the projects linked in the description of every single installment, and in total, Ian discussed 178 fundraisers. Now, given that the series tends to focus on the worst ones he could find, how many would you guess got funded? Well, 30. But fewer still managed to successfully use that money properly and be able to give out the promised reward tier content to all the backers. Only 22 managed to do so. As you may know, the most famous Kickstarter project discussed by Ian was the Coolest Cooler, which despite raising more money than anything else in the series, did not end well. The project experienced frequent delays in fulfilling orders due to the high demand, and this stretched on for so long that the Oregon Department of Justice launched a full investigation into the company, and in December of 2019 officially shut down Coolest LLC for violations against the Unlawful Trade Practices Act. Something which makes Ian's critical viewpoint towards the project age quite well, since at the time most people disagreed with it being deserving of a spot on Kickstarter Crap.
In the last video, I took a look at rocket skates, and some of you guys said, "That's not crap. That isn't crap. You're being a little harsh, iDubbbz. You're running out of crap to look at." Trust me, I'm not running out of crap to look at. I am choosing things that are a little bit of a challenge to call crap. A little bit of a challenge. Because if I look at nothing but a bunch of nerds trying to make YouTube gaming channels, it's gonna get really tired really fast.
To this day, 1/3 of the 60,000 backers never received their promised cooler, and were only able to get $20 back of the $200 they'd had to pledge to originally receive one. And the problems with successful projects weren't exclusive to Kickstarter. Another fundraiser shown in Indiegogo Excrement met its funding goal and faced issues as well, and that project was known as Moratorium, which was a group of film school graduates seeking money to make a documentary about people with different views of success and unconventional work histories.
All 3 of us are recent graduates, and with anyone in transition period, we are posed to the question of what's next, and a lot of us, we don't know. So we go back to what we do know, what's going to make us comfortable. And from a young age, we've been told, get a good education, so you can get a good job, so you can make a lot of money, and in the end, you'll reach this paradise of success and happiness. This film will question these assumptions that have been engraved in societies by exploring and analyzing diverse paths of success.
We'll be traveling through Hawaii, Indonesia, India, Nepal, and various other countries to seek out those individuals that have followed their own intuition.
Although, as many pointed out, this seemed like a thinly veiled scheme for them to go on a free vacation.
Huh. I wonder why she has such a big grin on her face. It couldn't possibly be because she just named every vacation destination that's ever been featured on the Travel Channel. Why not go to Ukraine? Why not go to England? Why not go to some cold countries?
The project did manage to get funded in August of 2014, and by November they'd posted their first promised webisode video for the $20 backers, which confirmed they had begun the trip. But after this, updates stopped for over a year and a half. Then, in April of 2016, they came back to say the documentary had been put on the back burner due to them having gotten full-time jobs upon their return. It would be another 3.5 years before the documentary would finally emerge on Vimeo in December of 2019. Worse still, it was revealed to be a short documentary, with a runtime of only 9 minutes. Runtime was never specified, but nothing in the project's description implied it would be anything other than feature length. But it did specify it would be shot in 4K, which it wasn't. And it's unknown if any backers were actually given the perks offered in their tiers. Moratorium and the Coolest Cooler weren't even the only examples of projects with these flaws. Despite all being successfully funded, the Crystal Wash Laundry Balls, Cat Egg Mold, and Tendo Board projects all failed to distribute rewards to all their backers. And looking at other successful projects that actually did hold up their end of the deal for pledgers, it seemed that many of them would still die out anyway, even though most of these fundraisers were for products that they intended to sell from then on. With time, many of the websites that once sold them are abandoned or deleted after the creators moved on. Of the 22 successful products, only 13 remain for sale today. Those being the Zen Egg, Goat Mug, Odin Trackpad, Crystal Wash Laundry Balls, Dylan and Hydrate Smart Water Bottles, the Personalized Tactical Pen, Signal Proof Hats, Forever Spin Top, Illumable Toilet Light, Kratos Beard Accessories, Rudy Pet Hoodies, and the Licky Brush. This is possibly why Ian's Kickstarter Crap Where Are They Now series that focused on products released by the fundraisers he'd critiqued in the past was so short-lived. These episodes included 4 of the products I just listed as well as the Coolest Cooler before its parent company fell. At most, he could only make 8 more episodes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kickstarter Crap. Just kidding, it's called Kickstarter Where Are They Now? And it's where I look back at previously covered Kickstarter projects and I ask the question, where are they now? It is going to be a less lazy version of the whole reacting to my old video shtick. I will look at old videos, see where I went wrong or where I went right, and then we are going to either buy the product if we can buy it, or we are going to visit the creator if it was more a creator-centric project.
Many of the successful Kickstarter projects were criticized for being pointless and only managed to get funding through their high-quality presentation.
I believe we need an object that reminds us to do nothing and just breathe a little. A lot of good can come out of a few minutes just listening to yourself.
We are making wooden eggs for $70,000. If we f this up, we are the most incompetent group of people on God's green earth.
Professional presentation can win over backers, but long-term success is much more difficult. And there were several others that found a way to uniquely fail despite reaching their funding goal. The Scarp Laser Razor, for instance, was suspended by Kickstarter after raising over $4 million for not having a working prototype. Then, the Feminist Photo Book was fully funded but hidden for privacy reasons, possibly before distribution, and the Hattrick-Wear Augmented Reality Hat was given over $10,000 for its $300 goal, but canceled because its creator Omer Isaac had supposedly gotten investor backing. But to this day, nothing more has come of it. Later on, he put up an update containing an Indiegogo link to his new business venture, which was the Next Chess, but today the page is inaccessible. Sometimes all the money in the world can't get a product off the ground when the creators are incompetent or simply facing an uphill battle with whatever they're making. But there are a few occasions where the opposite is true, and products featured in Kickstarter Crap would end up delivering without even being funded at all. Creators went on to develop new things, like how the company behind the cell phone headband would end up creating sports accessories, or how the people who sought to make meatballs seasoned to be the taste equivalent of popular music through their service called Beatballs would end up branching out and making kitchen accessories. And then there's the Sphinx Gaming PC, which was once a custom computer case service that turned into a piracy site. Not sure if you'd call that an improvement, but it's definitely a rebrand. Although there are other times when unsuccessful project creators didn't even need to move on to a new product to find success. 3 of which were video game products Ian critiqued for the quality of the games themselves. Those being Gas, Frontier Fantasy, and Umi-chan Mako Classroom Cheaters, all of which were released. Funny enough, Umi-chan Mako Classroom Cheaters was a hentai dating sim that went on to be created alongside a slew of other similar games by the same company. The group behind them consisted of the original creator of the Kickstarter, alongside 3 other people. They have since been thriving and now make over $3,400 a month on Patreon. But at the time of being discussed on Kickstarter Crap, things were much different. The project was not on track to reach its goal of $3,800 and only had around 1,000 with 8 days to go. And the game itself possessed a lot of laughable traits that Ian pointed out in his video.
So basically what we're looking at is a hentai dating sim game where you take control of a extremely busty girl and she's completely oblivious to her gigantic H-cup breasts, and her H-cup breasts are completely oblivious to physics. That makes sense. Why not?
After this episode came out, the project's creator was not happy. He canceled the Kickstarter the very next day and released an update saying he was aware of the negative attention the game was getting and addressed some of the points of ridicule. He also revealed that at the time he was working on the project single-handedly and that he personally liked the style that most mocked him for. He never specifically addressed Ian or his video, but the timing made it clear what pushed him to end the fundraiser. And this begs yet another question. How many creators ended up responding to Ian directly? Given how infamous a lot of these projects were, it's difficult to say exactly when a Kickstarter creator is speaking about backlash from the wider internet or Ian himself, especially since he stated he would often find these projects on Reddit, meaning they were already in the spotlight as being targets of ridicule. One example is the creator of the Hat Trickware project who mentioned brutal media in his update after canceling the project. And in the same manner, the Spunani Kickstarter Crap project mentioned getting hate after failing to reach its goal. These could have been referring to Ian, but there's no way to know for sure. Although one of the more interesting examples of this kind of response is when creators of a game called 7Framed canceled their project. Supposedly this was because they were speaking to investors and no longer needed crowdfunding, but this may not have been the case, since Ian's Kickstarter Crap had echoed the opinions of many others who at the time argued the game was a scam.
This game actually looks awesome. If it was an actual game, which it's totally not. Alright, so in case you guys didn't catch any of the subtle cues throughout the video, what they've essentially done is they've made a trailer. I mean, that's obvious. You can call it a trailer. But it's more of a trailer for a movie than a game because, really, there's no gameplay. You might be saying to yourself, oh, but iDubbbz's, he was shooting a gun. Your character was shooting a gun, you know, and it very much looked like gameplay. That wasn't gameplay. You know that's not gameplay. It was way too smooth to be gameplay. Oh, but what about all the QuickTime events in the video? Oh, yeah, those weren't QuickTime events. Those were fucking inserted after the fact to make it look like they've actually programmed some stuff and, you know, made some gameplay. Those were put in.
It's important to note that the man in control of this project was Dave Massicott, who has had a fairly extensive history working on well-known game franchises such as Halo, Assassin's Creed, and Silent Hill. But his expertise was as an animator and visual effects coordinator, so it's very possible he was playing to his strengths and trying to pitch the game concept with an animation and develop the gameplay later with the funds raised. But it's also equally possible he simply did this to pull a scam and had no intention of taking things further after acquiring the money. Either way, the game's marketing was very misleading, and despite the statements made about investor backing, 7Framed would never get released and Dave's involvement with the gaming industry seemingly has come to an end. Whether or not these events would have unfolded differently if Ian hadn't made his video is unclear, but sometimes people Ian mentions stay silent. People don't always respond directly, and many don't even respond at all. In fact, one guy by the name of Thomas Asme had 2 separate Kickstarter Crap videos made on him after 2 of his projects were discussed without Ian noticing they were by the same person. But even with this double exposure, Thomas remained quiet. But this is far from typical. When looking at every project in the series, 12 other featured creators canceled their projects within a few days of their Kickstarter Crap video's release. So it's clear that Ian did directly affect at least a few of them. This is tantamount to running away during a fight or flight situation. But many others chose the latter. And that leads us to arguably the most interesting type of path these creators have taken after being featured. The angry path. It can be fun to discuss a good success story, but there's something even more entertaining about a good show when the people behind the awful projects unsuccessfully try to defend themselves. More often than not, the most amateur Kickstarter projects are run by the people who don't have the professionalism to simply brush off backlash and will declare a full-on war after being featured by Ian. One of which to do so was Raul Velez, whose project was a game of sorts where you could win erotic images.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Raul Velez. I am the director of original photo design, as well as the executive director for Helixia, the game in Auction. Helixia truly is a unique application. I have had the opportunity to travel around the world with design specialists and visual specialists to create Helixia. From design, idea, to creation, everything about Helixia is real.
They're not saying anything! They're not saying what this is. They're not saying what their product is.
You play the game by choosing one image, and then you play for that image. If you win that image, it goes into a virtual library.
What do you play? How do you play? Is there a game involved at all?
So you bid for these if you so choose. And that's another nice addition to this here, is that not only do you have collections that you can keep for your own personal use.
For your own personal use? Oh my gosh, dude. Just say it. Just say it. In closing, I would like to say that this was one of the few Kickstarter projects in recent time that I felt 100% legit in criticizing, because it was top to bottom bad, and there is no arguing that fact. So, yeah, there's really no reason I need to explain why this Kickstarter project was crap. It was all laid out there very clearly.
Afterwards, Raul became angry enough to jump into the video's comments section and start arguing with iDubbbz subscribers. At times, his points were equally incoherent as the pitch video. The woman featured in the project, whose name was Sonia Yena, made an appearance as well. Today, the Helixia project has had its content purged and replaced with a picture of a waterfall and generic text. Their social media has remained inactive, so it's difficult to gauge what more they've been up to after Helixia fell apart. But this flame war in the comments didn't go unnoticed by Ian, and he addressed it in a later episode of Kickstarter Crap and even said they weren't the only ones to do this.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this double feature. I think it sort of broke up the monotony of looking at one really bad Kickstarter project, and then maybe people will feel less targeted, because I've gotten a lot of responses from the people featured in the previous Kickstarter projects. Dayron, Raul Velez, they all came back and talked in the comments, argued with you guys, and most of you guys are pretty cool about it. You give legitimate arguments rather than just like, you're stealing people's money.
The other name he was referring to is Arias, who spearheaded a project called Snipe, which is about creating a special type of Nerf gun with conductive darts that could interact with touchscreens of mobile devices and allow you to play special shooting games in real life.
Meet Dayron, a shooter and an inventor. Like yourself, Dayron has always enjoyed the thrill of shooting games. After wrecking dozens of tablets, it finally hit him. Snipe, the perfect blend of digital and physical elements within one revolutionary shooting game. With Snipe's patent-pending touch darts and designated apps, you can turn your tablet into a limitless shooting playground.
In closing, I would like to say that Snipe seems like a terrible idea. Mobile games are already pretty damn bad. This is just making them worse because it's adding a peripheral that is completely not needed and makes the experience worse, in my opinion.
After this, Dayron found the video and responded with a long, angry comment that Ian himself replied back to, but seemingly nothing more came of it. The Snipe project would receive a significant amount of funding, but not enough to reach its goal. Although later, Dayron would rebrand and create an electric bicycle pump designed to fit in water bottle holders. Unlike Snipe, this project would reach its funding goal with over $50,000 and is still sold on his website today. Most people who find themselves in a Kickstarter Crap episode like Dayron will tune out even the valid points Ian makes if they respond, but there are rare occasions where this doesn't happen. Take, for example, the episode on the untitled paranormal investigation game, which Ian ridicules for being too bare bones and not showcasing anything that proves the product is even being carried out.
Currently in development, we have a trailer that we're very excited to reveal that will show you a little bit more of what your player experience will be like.
Currently in development, we have a trailer we're really excited to reveal. Oh my gosh! You don't have a trailer? How about you finish up your trailer and you make that your Kickstarter project video?
Its creator, Gregory Wiedemann, then replaced the pitch video with another containing developmental footage, and gave the game the working title of The Haunting. But this kind of response is rare to say the least. It's much more common for creators to instead take the worst possible approach to criticism that is humanly possible.
Dear YouTube, my name is Pisces Sakono, and I'm here to say, fuck you, iDubbbz's, with your fucking ass cockamamie bullshit!
I don't think he likes me.
Of all the people to be featured, there were none who responded with as much anger as Sean Bishop, who would come to be known as Pisces. Before his rant, he'd been discussed in 2 prior iDubbbz videos. In the first, Ian goes over Pisces' invention, a game console called the Cybermatrix 100, which had schematics seemingly drawn in MS Paint and was so laughably incompetent that it attracted a slew of ironic backers who fully funded its $500 goal.
Obviously, this project was fully funded, and a lot of the people who were passionate about backing this project were kind enough to leave some comments. Almost half the people who backed the project left a comment, so we're going to read some of those comments today. I can supply Legos if you need them. Oh, and I have hot glue. Lots of hot glue. I hope your project does well. Very excited for cyberspace possibilities. I'm sure you can do it. I'm going to make an Animal Crossing dating sim. I'm not a furry though. I just really like animals in that way, you know?
In the second video uploaded that same month, Ian talks about his newer project, the Cybermatrix 100 Concept TU02.
Today, the project we're going to look at is called the Cybermatrix 100. But iDubbbz, we already looked at the Cybermatrix 100. Yeah, but this is the Cybermatrix 100 Concept TU02. The project that got funded already was a $500 funding goal. This one has a $10,000 funding goal, and just make it clear that that this isn't just a repeat. This isn't a scam or anything. It says right down here, this is only part 2 of my console attempt 1. Thanks for contributing. Here's the diagrams anyway. So that's sweet of him to throw the diagrams on there. Now, he says part 2 of console attempt 1. So we're to assume that they're all going to be attempts, and they could really be a limitless amount of parts.
It became clear that Pisces was taking the opportunity to make even more money after seeing his previous effort be fully funded, and with this in mind, Ian didn't hold back in critiquing it, which eventually teased out an explosive response. In it, he attempted to roast Ian, but only managed to make himself look worse in the process. Afterwards, Pisces deleted his video but would continue posting on the same account, and is even still active with gaming content to this very day. On Kickstarter, he went against Ian's advice and created 2 more projects, one of which was another attempt at gaining funding for the Cybermatrix console, and the other was a sequel to a book called Team Pisces Emissary Adventures that he'd previously tried to raise money for.
Okay, so you think this is a joke. You're gonna come in here and you're gonna tell me that you made a project called Team Pisces Emissary Adventures. Wait, that's a real project? Team Pisces Emissary Adventures Path to Salvation? What is that? Story about an ultrafish named Piscia Sikono trying to restore peace in a war with the Dark Forces Syndicate. Christ.
The fight between Pisces and Ian was one of the most well-known events in the history of Kickstarter Crap, and it helped cement the iDubbbz's name as the powerful roasting machine it would end up being regarded as.
I know that you grew up in the suburbs, had life, great, mommy, daddy, maybe divorced. Whew, that was the biggest shake of your life. The hardest probably thing you've ever faced. But other than that, life must have been a piece of freaking cake. Okay, that's as far as I memorized too. I think it's a pretty good skit on its own. But for any of you out there who were confused by that nice little gag I just did, that was a gag. That wasn't real. That was a bit of a callback. See the Quaffine video if you want to know what that's from.
Although Pisces was not the first to create an infamous response video after appearing on Kickstarter Crap, there was another earlier that same year, a man known as Caffeine.
It's actually supposed to be caffeine, the Q is silent, because I freestyle very well.
Who created a Kickstarter to essentially fund his rap career under the ironic company name Self-Made Entrepreneurs. Ian mocked the product for its presentation and reward tiers, but given how personalized it is, a fair portion of the video was also focused on Caffeine himself, which is most likely why it got a response out of him less than 2 weeks later.
My name is Caffeine, the CEO and founder of Self-Made Entrepreneurs. So the reason I'm making this video today here is I received a message from a friend of mine, a video. Somebody was having a freaking great time with something that I put together, which was a Kickstarter project, which was very entertaining. I thought it was really good actually. iDubbbz's. You're a funny fellow.
He attempted to defend the project and made several jabs at Ian himself, but most of his remarks fell flat when Ian rebutted with his own response.
Decided to try to display my music as not lyrical at all, though he used 15-second clips I put on Instagram, me freestyling on mainstream beats, which I find very easy to do.
No, Quaffine. I didn't use your Instagram videos because you look like a tool in them or you look like less professional. I used them because you linked your Instagram on your Kickstarter page as your website, and they're short videos. Yeah.
This was the first time Ian had made a follow-up to one of his episodes, and would prove to not be the last. Much like with Pisces, Caffeine deleted his video, and these events left the reputation of the iDubbbz's channel even stronger than before. In the time since, Caffeine has continued his music career with little progress, but unlike many of the others, has embraced the association to Kickstarter Crap by re-uploading his original response, and even making a now-deleted music video based on the memes from the episode. I myself noticed this several years ago, and even said I respected him for being mature enough to go with the joke, which I remember him personally thanking me for in a reply that's now lost. As for Ian, it seemed that from an outsider's point of view, there was no enemy he couldn't second best in a battle of wits. And people were starting to recognize this since today the Caffeine Kickstarter Crap video is his most popular episode with over 10 million views. But there was one Kickstarter creator Ian was simply not fit to go up against. One who he would lose to not only then, but also a second time many years later.
Hello everybody and welcome back to more Kickstarter Crap. Today the piece of crap we're going to look at is called Dark Skies. And I prayed that none of you would message me about this, but y'all did. And there's a lot of crap to sift through on this one, so buckle up. Dark Skies, an epic brony dating sim.
Let's meet the ponies of Royal Pony Academy here in Cirrus City.
My name is Pumpkin Pie, and I'm the smartest pony in the whole school. By my calculations, you'll be falling in love with me.
In actuality, the project was entirely fake. It should be noted that iDubbbz's has fallen for trolls before, like with his Kickstarter Crap Cube episode, which focused on a product discussing a metal cube that Ian took as being genuine. This same person then made a sequel project that was even more blatantly ironic and essentially revealed his intentions. Not to mention, I'm also pretty sure the guy who begged for an Apple Watch was a troll as well. But in the case of Dark Skies, Ian knew from the beginning that it was all a scam intended to squeeze money out of gullible members of the Brony fandom. But what he didn't know is exactly who was at the reins of this project.
Hey, what's up, ponies? It's me, the Master Troll here. And I just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, the game is, I mean, it was going to be funny. And I think you guys would appreciate it. Your sense of humor. All of the Pinkie Pie memes you guys post. You're going to like the game, okay?
Meet Sam Hyde, a man whose history is more complicated than words can describe. He's a well-known troll whose controversial beliefs and public stunts have made him the focus of a lot of drama, and after people traced back shared ties with the developers list from Dark Skies, it was revealed that the game was yet another trolling effort. Most involved were also affiliated with the social media of Sam's company, $1 Million Extreme. Eventually, Sam revealed himself to the public and claimed the project was still going, knowing by that time everyone had realized the whole thing was a ruse. But it was through these events that Ian would end up being introduced to Sam, and after developing an interest in him, he would decide many years later to create a documentary on Sam's life. And it was then that Ian let on exactly what happened after the Dark Skies Kickstarter Crap episode was released.
Do you remember our first interaction?
No.
You don't?
No. I have very bad memory, though.
Yeah.
Was it bad?
What do you think?
Did I snub you or slight you or something?
What,
what did I do?
Your memory's that bad?
Yes.
You don't remember?
I do not remember.
Okay. Do you remember...
What was it?
You remember making a pony game?
Yes.
There were some creators at the time who made videos about this fake pony project.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Were you one of them?
I was one of them.
What did I do?
You copyright claimed the video.
Really?
Yes. And then you sent me an email.
I mean, I don't do most copyright claims. What was the email?
The email was, I will release the copyright claim on your video if you can send me a video of yourself squatting 200 pounds below parallel.
Why didn't you do that? You'd be so much stronger now if you'd done that.
Yeah.
Did I create an enemy with that?
I mean, for a period. I didn't like you.
I'm sorry, buddy. That's no good.
Yeah. Why'd you do that to me?
I don't know. I can't even remember what your video was. So maybe I was pissed off or something. I don't know. I was trying to not have that ruse get blown though.
Right.
So maybe that had something to do with it.
That probably did.
I'm sorry. I don't remember that.
Yeah. That's what led to this day today.
Really? Okay. So are you gonna punk me?
You're getting punked.
Really?
The video was taken down, and Ian attempted to re-upload it only to be met with the same problem since that version is missing too. And it's no coincidence that from then on, Ian would add a disclaimer to every future Kickstarter Crap episode saying the footage was fair use. This remains one of only 2 Kickstarter Crap videos that are missing today, with the other being his Girls and Games calendar one. Many years later, in March of 2021, after Ian had become known for his long-form content, he decided to make the aforementioned documentary about Sam and fly out to his place of work in order to do so. But Sam would turn the situation around and prank Ian instead. He intentionally altered details about his environment to throw Ian off, going as far as to rent out a creepy dentist office pretending it's his company's workspace, and hire an actress to shave her head and act like she's on drugs while playing Sam's girlfriend. But these were only a handful of the much funnier and more elaborate things Sam did to mess with Ian upon his arrival.
Try to tell him what Pokemon is as if it's some new thing like crypto. Buy parakeets from Petco. Fill fridge with unbagged meat. Spend $10K on scratch tickets. A bunch of dead wasps.
As a result of what went on during that trip, Ian's video was presumed by Sam to be scrapped. So after having waited for a release, Sam pieced together his own documentary 9 months later using his half of the footage recorded during the trip.
It's been 9 months, and there's no communication, and we did, we spent 2 weeks of time. That's what I'm more worried about. So we're just going to cut together our footage in like the funniest way. We're not going to try to make anyone look bad. We're going to take whatever's funny moments, make a cool cut out of it. So I think that's what
I would do that.
This video went up and upon release received massive attention. Then, without warning, Ian released his version 3 weeks later known as Getting Away With It.
Back in March, we went to Rhode Island to film a documentary with Sam Hyde, who's known for his comedy videos.
You do a lot of damage.
I've been aware of Sam and his comedy for a long time, so I thought it'd be interesting to get to know more about Sam, because not many people know much about him. He's a bit mysterious. He's a bit unwieldy.
Ian didn't acknowledge Sam's version of the documentary, but presumably some elements of it were recorded later on after he'd watched it and gotten some insight into the true extent of Sam's deception for the prank. Needless to say, he wasn't satisfied with the conclusion of it all.
I would have been more stoked with the prank if he had allowed us to take a candid look at his life afterwards, but he shut us out. I don't know what his day-to-day life is really like. I don't know even surface level details about how he does things, or, you know, if he's even in a relationship. It would be interesting to know, but we just don't know.
In the end, it appeared there was no drama between them after their videos went up, and both have since gone their separate ways, each doing what they do best, creating content and elaborate trolling.
He could have made it snarky. He could have been, oh, well, this is the flip side. This is what actually happened. Like, he could have done that. But the documentary was extremely well cut. It was neutral. It represented what happened. And I think that's big, like character-wise, to not look for an angle to like get revenge or something. I think it's big-ish of him.
But while Sam may be one of the most well-known figures to have gotten involved with iDubbbz's Kickstarter Crap videos, he certainly wasn't the only YouTuber. If there was one common focus across the entirety of Ian's Kickstarter Crap series, it would be projects by amateur YouTubers looking to become full-time on the platform. Sometimes they seek money for living expenses to avoid working a typical job while producing their videos, and other times they try to raise money in order to buy needlessly excessive recording equipment. The problems with these projects are self-explanatory, and these types of people are ripe for entertaining criticism. For this reason, Ian has dedicated 9 episodes exclusively to talking about these types of projects. Those being the adventure of the non-professional lame beginner gamer, to become like PewDiePie on YouTube, ASMR Gaming Channel, Ryan's Stream Dream, YouTube channels double feature, Gator Dudes, Schizophonic TV, YouTube channel production, and 10 terrible gaming channels. And to answer the question that's probably on all your guys' minds right now, no, none of them became successful later on. The biggest YouTuber to have created a Kickstarter Crap project is known as X7 Albert, who was a gaming creator focusing on Skate 3 at the time, and created a project in order to raise money for a sequel to the game. Today, the account has gone inactive and stopped growing at 500,000 subscribers after being rebranded to a generic real-life stories channel. But this hardly even counts. In terms of YouTubers whose Kickstarter focused on their actual YouTube channels, none have been able to become anywhere near successful enough to be considered big names. In fact, these people were the quickest to cancel their products after being discussed by Ian. Nearly half of them did so. But several interesting events followed from these types of creators, with the first of which being a response video from Gatorpoon, a comedy channel featuring 3 friends with the titular main 2 being Gator and Poon.
Hey guys. These are dark days for the iDubbbz's TV channel. Unfortunately, I have to host a funeral today. In memory of Gatorpoon.
We have this character called iDubbbz. He's on the interwebs, or as we like to call it, the internet. He's out there spewing this nonsense, spewing perjury, just saying, oh, you know, these guys are bad. These guys don't know what they're doing. They don't know improvisation.
Okay, I'm only going to say this once, you guys, so I want you to listen up. Owen Wilson's autistic stepbrother, Fat Gomi, and forever frat bro. You guys are idiots, okay? I gave you I gave you your 15 minutes of fame, and you know what you did with it? You squandered it. You used up 4 minutes and 34 seconds, okay?
This would prove to be yet another well-known piece of iDubbbz's drama that I would argue set the stage for Content Cop. But after this video, things didn't go much further. As for the channel, it would be renamed to Gator Dudes, and later on Gator the Legend after several members departed and the channel was left in the hands of Gator around a month afterwards. With some amount of the iDubbbz's following having subscribed, he would talk about Ian every now and then, such as in a fan Q&A as well as a Kickstarter Crap parody where he takes some jabs at Ian, but also thanks him at the end for the exposure. Ian appeared in the comments of this video and said he found it funny. Later on, after it had been 1 year on the dot since the release of the Kickstarter Crap episode, Gator posted a sincere thank you to Ian for his criticism, and stated that he learned a lot from it.
On May 19th, 2015, a year ago today, a channel on the rise called iDubbbz's TV discovered this abortion of a Kickstarter called Gatorpoon, and thought to himself, this will be perfect for my Kickstarter Crap series. And the rest, my friends, is, well, as they say, history. Now, this whole last year has been such a blessing and an eye-opener. I now understand the internet on a level that I had no clue even existed. So with that being said, and this being the 1 year anniversary of the Kickstarter Crap starring Gatorpoon, I felt like I needed to make a video telling iDubbbz how grateful I am for everything that he's done for me. So iDubbbz, if you were watching this video, I just want to say thank you for everything. I hope over the last year, the growth of my channel and the video quality and me trying to take all the advice you gave me and apply to my videos, I hope it's made you proud if you've watched any of them.
He still talks about Ian every now and then, but most of his content has stayed original. Today, he's remained active and his channel is the most successful of those featured as YouTuber Kickstarter Crap projects in the series. Although, there was one other creator featured by Ian who felt the need to respond and didn't take things nearly as well by the end.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kickstarter Crap. Today we're going to look at a project called Schizophonic TV. Schizophonic TV kind of sounds like iDubbbz's TV, but it's very different. It's very different in the fact that it's a lot more cringe-inducing than iDubbbz's TV is.
Schizophonic TV was an attempt at a prank channel with a $50,000 funding goal intended to pay for filming equipment with the intention of one day making it to Hollywood. On its own, this product wasn't unlike most terrible YouTube-based products discussed by Ian, but its creator set it apart. A man known as Lucas, better known as Lucic Diamond Eyes.
My name is Lucic Diamond Eye, and this is Paul. Paul, check this out.
Wow, you can do that pretty good.
Thank you, my man.
Excellent. Yeah,
absolutely.
You, bro.
Sounds good, man. Fucking degenerate.
It is amazing how effortless it is for him. You know, just going up to a random person and just being the most douchiest person possible. I don't know how he does it. The rest of us, you know, we'd have to put in some level of effort to look like a douchebag. It's second nature to him.
This clip would go on to be more famous than Lucic himself, especially after Leafy reacted to the original video later on and introduced it to a new audience. After Ian posted the Kickstarter Crap episode, Lucic found that his channel was seeing even more traffic than usual and released a reply with the hope of garnering more attention. Ian responded with his own video, and because of how uniquely unlikable Lucic was, this was when the roasting aspect of iDubbbz's videos really took a jump.
With me as your agent and this awesome sponsorship video that I cooked up, I think we'll get you a gig in no time. Lucas and I met in high school. He was a pretty fun guy to be around. Everyone liked his personality. He was really outgoing. But then, one day, things started to change. He was smoking a lot more. At first, it was just every now and again at a football game. Then it turned in every week. Then every day. It became so bad I couldn't understand what he was saying half the time. Every time we tried to get him some help, he'd just push back even more. He'd say things like, "You don't understand. This is grime step." To this day, we still don't know what he meant by grime step. All we know is that Lucas destroyed his body because of peer pressure and a lack of self-awareness.
As you might imagine, this didn't go over well. Lucic later purged his entire backlog of videos as the infamy set in. Although he continued posting in hopes of getting noticed and having a career in Hollywood, but over time, things slowly started to slip. He got involved with a pyramid scheme and several other sketchy ventures, and by 2018, it seemed as though his confidence had begun to wane, and he started to accept the possibility that he would never achieve his dreams and build a career beyond being an infamous meme.
I'm done on this YouTube channel. This is it. I don't have anything, dude. I don't have. I got discovered like 8 years ago by somebody in the Hollywood industry, and he told me, my friend, that we were meant to be a comedy duo, and nothing's happened for 8 years. So I've been putting stuff on YouTube to try to get famous, and it's not working out. Have a nice life, YouTube. Peace out.
Since then, he's continued sparsely uploading to the same channel renamed to Artist Not Human to You, and today his most recent content consists of nonsensical shorts mirrored from a TikTok account that evidently no longer exists. It was only 4 months after the initial conflict with Lucic that Ian would create Content Cop, so it's very possible that these kinds of encounters brought about the idea for the series. As for the rest of the YouTubers, most have since deleted their channels. After being mentioned, the non-professional lame beginner gamer purged all of his social media and canceled the project the very next day. And Ryan from the Ryan Stream Dream episode canceled his even faster on the same day, but still has his Twitch account, which has remained inactive for many years. Both channels from the double feature episode took these approaches as well, since one account is empty and the other no longer exists. The creator of the ASMR gaming channel went even further and hid her project for privacy reasons shortly after being featured. And one account mentioned in the Kickstarter Crap episode about toys was removed from YouTube for terms of service violations against spam and deceptive practices, in the wake of the crackdown on content targeted at children. Its project was also suspended from Kickstarter after being criticized by Ian for simply being an advertising gimmick by having a $1 funding goal and the only reward tier being a credit on the channel. The actual fundraiser wasn't funding anything, and was taken down for reasons of deception, much like the YouTube channel itself. The only other YouTuber to persist after all this time was Unstoppable360, who was the subject of the YouTube Gaming Channel Production Project episode. He never canceled the project but did end up deleting the channel, and there is evidence to say he was being harassed, although he returned a little over 2 years later with a new one that he stayed active on to this very day. As of now, he's put up 195 videos and has 200 subscribers. One thing's for sure, and that's that even all the money from Kickstarter can't seem to change the inevitable fact that skill is required for any endeavor. And even if these YouTube channel projects were to have been funded, there's nothing saying the result will be any different. But there is one other YouTuber who has become famous for the completely wrong reasons, and that's Dayron Arias, who I'm betting you didn't even know how to channel. But also, Dayron Arias created a YouTube channel, so go and check that out, please. It is gold. Don't say anything to him or anything, just watch the videos, please. I want this guy to stick around. Dayron was one of the most recognizable names from Kickstarter Crap due to the comedic absurdity of his personality.
This is behind the scenes, and the cover is, oh, what do you know? It's the same as all the other covers. Dayron Arias. It's him with a lime green background that really just pops. When you're perusing the Dayron Arias magazine, you'll find that there are some articles that say, by Dayron Arias. But as you read them, you say to yourself, well, this doesn't sound like it's been written by a Dayron Arias. So you do a reverse word search and find that he's plagiarized the entire article. This right here is one of my favorite parts of the magazine. It's an advertisement for the Dayron clothing line. And if you look closely, it says who's photographed, Eric Martinez. Kind of looks like an Eric Martinez. I guess Dayron really does have his own clothing line. No one would go through the trouble of, having a price breakdown for each of the pieces of clothing, make a fake name for the hairstylist, the makeup artist, even has the photo shoot location up there. I just couldn't take no for an answer, so I did a reverse image search of the man in the leather jacket, and I found out that he is in fact stock photo handsome man thinking. He's also a big fan of having these quotes around his magazine that finish with -Dayron Arias, but all of them are taken directly off of Google. Yes, even the small little blurbs that he could easily make up himself. Hey, what's your name, Paul? Check this out, Paul. -Dayron Arias. Looks that say you're hired. Dayron, I'm not sure if this look is a look that says you're hired. Oh, wow. A full 2-page spread of Dayron's face. That's exactly what this magazine needed. 2 more pages. Make that 6 pages of Dayron's face.
The absurdity of Dayron himself took what would have otherwise been a shoddy fundraiser to promote a magazine and turned it into the material for one of the most well-regarded Kickstarter Crap videos ever. As memorable as Dayron was, he never engaged with Ian in any way or acknowledged the video afterwards. However, today both the magazine and website are gone, and even the Kickstarter Crap project redirects to a blank page. Something which is strange since the only other project in Kickstarter Crap to have this happen was one of a woman attempting to raise money for butt implants. Both appear to have been deleted without Kickstarter giving a specified reason, but all things considered, it's obvious as to why. Sometime after being featured, Dayron created a new website as well as a podcast that Ian later mentioned in another video.
We take a look at Dayron Arias's new podcast. I'm going to be like, hey, from an electrician's perspective, is pretty good.
Both this podcast and the new website are now gone, and the web address redirects to yet another podcast called Making a Difference with Eric Crossley that went inactive in early 2021. However, he still has a YouTube and Twitter going all the way back to 2009 that remain partially active even now. He mainly posts reviews of cars and tech products, as well as unboxings of said products and tour videos, in heavy quotes. Even still, he continues to live in obscurity, and it's unclear exactly how his career has progressed outside of the internet. And when it comes to Kickstarter Crap creators, that's about all there is. Of course, there were projects like the infamous Breaking Bad sequel film or the Lemon Orchard with the drone hoax, but both of these had nothing come of them. Nor did any of the other 178 products that I didn't mention by name. More often than not, they're either unsuccessful and abandoned, cancelled and purged, or some weird combination of the two. I guess this just goes to show that even on a landscape where it's possible to be funded millions of dollars, many simply don't have the skills required to pitch their case. And even when they do, it takes another skill set entirely to be able to turn that funding into a successful business venture. At the end of the day, I don't think Ian changed the outcome of any of these projects. His exposure didn't seem to affect the money raised for better or for worse. But he did at least teach a lot of them a very valuable lesson that when you put yourself on the internet, you need to be prepared to be criticized. Especially if you're going as far as to ask for money. Getting angry and lashing out not only worsens the situation, but benefits Ian. Especially as the content responding to him could be seen as a precursor to Content Cop. It seems like the person who succeeded the most after being featured in Kickstarter Crap was Ian himself. As the series went on, Ian did attempt to minimize the backlash he dished out to others by discussing multiple projects at a time and not linking them towards the end of the series. You may argue that this naturally led to the cancellation of Kickstarter Crap, but I think Ian says it best in the second to last episode.
I was considering not continuing this series because I'm not exactly the same relatable, happy guy looking ass that I used to be, the sort of the trash can iDubbbz who would pull empty energy drink cans out of the trash can and use it as a camera mount. But I still think it's good to make these videos because it gives me an opportunity to say the same message I was saying back then, which is live within your means and don't waste your money on stupid shit.
Anyway, my 5 seconds of fame is about over. Bye.